Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I wanted to touch on this article here, which, circles back to the whole border crisis, right, that has been talked about, warned about for months, right, years, really. And here what we have is from zerohedge.com, as you can see in this subheading here, right? Cover up, ex-Border Patrol chief says he was instructed by the Biden-Harris admin or administration to hide terrorist encounters. So, remember those lessons we would do concerning, points when they would come out and say, hey, we caught this guy. He was planning. I think there was one of them that said that it says that he had ties to Hezbollah and he was going to New York to make a bomb, right? And you also had another one recently, I think, coming from Canada, right, trying to come initiate some attack or whatnot. So what's interesting is, right, in those articles, like we mentioned, those were just the ones that were so-called caught, or even the ones that were allowed to be made public, right, or reported. And lo and behold, as you can hear from this testimony, there were many more that were caught that were not reported because it was, kept under wraps. And even this ex-border patrol chief mentions that even still, though the ones that he was instructed not to report was still only a few, right? So not only, were they not reporting some, but even the ones that they weren't reporting don't account for every single one, meaning that there are currently, right, potential T's within the country that have ties to countries. Think about this, right? They have ties to countries that are currently at war with countries that the U.S. is allied with. Okay? So that means you have Iran connected, or ISIS connected, or Hezbollah connected T's that are in the U.S. Okay, the same Hezbollah that's pretty much now at war with Israel, and the same Israel that is backed by the U.S. So think about how that plays out. And if you've watched any of these kind of movies where there's some form of homeland attack by some T, right? T is short for T. You know what it's short for. They don't. It's not like they come in yesterday and then they attack on Friday, right, or something like that, or they attack 2 days from now. There are things known as sleeper cells, and they're called sleeper cells because they pretty much lie dormant, roam about. They could be the janitor for 20 years. They could have been a principal of a school. They could be X, Y, and Z for, this X, Y, and Z years. And they could have been, X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z years. And guess what? At the end of the day, when it's time to go, when they get that green light, they're going to do what they got to do. So that risk is still, it's really going to be ongoing until they actually do something. Because at this point, there's actually no way for them to go and find and identify. Because once they're already in the country, they're in here. And now what they've done is they've mixed not only what they're calling illegal immigrants with civilians, but also how do you then separate those that are just so-called seeking a better life and those that are here for ulterior motives? Anyway, in a scathing revelation before Congress, Former San Diego Sector Border Patrol Chief Aaron Heitke, or Aaron H., accused the Biden-Harris administration of covering up a sharp rise in encounters with suspected Ts at the U.S.-Mexico border. Hear that? A sharp rise. So it's not like this is the first time they're encountering what they actually call them SIAs, right? Special interest aliens. This isn't the first time, but there's been a spike because these other countries are looking and they're like, wait, time out. This place that we've been wanting real bad just let down their guard. Okay, it's like you're fighting somebody with like a real, who's real fast. They got a real strong guard, and all of a sudden they just drop their hands, and they're not even trying to move out the way. They're just walking up to you. Oh hell yeah, that's what these countries are looking. These foes, right, of the U.S. That's what they're looking at this place like. Wait, hold on. They just dropped their defense. They just come on in, come on with it, right? Like here it is. There's a deadly, disease out here, and everybody's trying to protect themselves. And the U.S. is out here going up into sick homes, no mask, breathing in everything, touching everything, touching their face, touching their eyeballs, just letting all the germs in. This is what they're doing. Then they get sick and turn around and, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Anyway, during a House Committee on Homeland Security hearing titled "A Country Without Borders," right? Sounds similar to Ezekiel 38, right? On the land of unwalled villages. Right, so it says how Biden-Harris open borders policies have undermined our safety and security. H said he was muzzled from releasing critical information on the number of special interest aliens, or SIAs, individuals with known or suspected ties to terrorism apprehended in California. I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. He testified, the administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border. That's pretty interesting, huh? According to Hike, arrest of... All right. I'm just going to go ahead and do this.
So make sure to stay tuned to the channel. How do you say it? Hike.
Interesting. We'll just go with H, because this isn't even the exact word. Anyway, back to the article. Let's jump to the important part here. It says once word was out that the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught, H warned. And I don't know how long this video is, but let's see.
We had an exponential increase in significant interest aliens. These are aliens with significant ties to terrorism. Prior to this administration, the San Diego sector averaged 10 to 15 SIA arrests per year. Once word was out the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border.
So, I mean, you heard it there. Heard it there yourself. So why? Now the question is why? But the administration, that involves, Kamala, right? Same one who's, they're both sides are all making their case, this, that. At the end of the day, man, it's still just two sides of one coin. It's the same coin. Anyway, yes, they allowed them to come into the country, right? An influx of them. And even till now, they're still running up in here. Rep. Clay Higgins, RLA chairman of the Subcommittee on Border Security and Enforcement, didn't mince words during the hearing, calling the current situation a self-inflicted border crisis and a threat to the homeland from within the homeland, right? Which is one of the look, when you have like a virus, right? It's bad and it's dangerous, but it's most dangerous when it gets inside of you, right? Without a host, it's gonna die. It's just gonna be out there, all right? But that's why it attaches to a host, and that's why people always want to avoid getting those germs or those pathogens inside of them, because once it's within, that's when it can do the most damage. So here, what they've done by, like it says, increasing this threat from within, well, you know, you can start to get an idea of where things are headed. Okay. By ending effective Trump era policies and programs that protected us, the Biden-Harris administration has intentionally left us vulnerable to potential attacks from T's and criminals who are freely moving around our communities. I mean, it's really interesting to see, right? Like, there's literally, this country has now become one of open crime. That's like, you literally have open crime going on, and the criminals are being released. Just go back out there and do your thing. It's just very, very interesting, but eventually, they let them run wild, run rampant for a bit. And eventually it gets to a point where now they're like, all right, time to clamp down. And then, you see how quickly things are going to switch, because they need to complete the destabilization of this country. Anyway, let's see where we're at. All along, the backlog has grown and grown. Their essentially trial date, if you will, the date on which they will make their ultimate merits claim, is set years and years away. That was the status quo, he said. Okay, that was a bit out of context in terms of reading that, but I think we get the point here. Let's take a look at this. All right, it says here, this bombshell revelation should end Kamala Harris's presidential campaign.
To suggest that we have to build a wall across our southern border because there are terrorists who are trying to invade the country, it couldn't be farther from the truth.
Exponential increase in significant interest aliens. These are aliens with significant ties to terrorism. Prior to this administration, the San Diego sector averaged 10 to 15 SIA arrests per year. Once word was out the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border.
There you go. So I mean, it's literally, right, like a direct contradiction of this. And I wonder what people actually think in their heads when they see these kinds of videos, where you go back, you get something that somebody said, a year ago, 2 years ago, a couple months ago, and you see in real time the exact opposite happening. I wonder what it is, how the average individual's brain processes that, if they actually recognize what's happening here, or if they're just, lulled to sleep, right? Anyway, it says, but as the number of terror-linked arrests continues to climb, many are questioning whether the administration's open border policies have put the country at risk. But here's the thing: this isn't a matter of like rocket science. This isn't a matter of insane, genius minds. This is basic common sense, right? What do you think would happen if you just opened your border and you have the ability, you're literally connected both north and south, and to where you have people that can travel through countries that are north of you or south of you to get into your country? And you're just like, let them all in. Don't don't vet them. Don't find out who they are. Just let them in. Matter of fact, we'll help them come in. I mean, that's not a matter of whether your policies have put the country at risk. That's a matter of you deliberately. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, okay, I did this and the byproduct of the actions that I took is this. No, it seems like the actual target or the goal of your actions was that. Because an average individual who's not even a politician or president or whatever would have more than enough common sense to know, all right, that doesn't even make sense, right? You know, as a country, yeah, damn near all countries, you know, secure their borders. Even people that have like houses or what. Why do you think you have doors at your in your houses or your apartments? Why don't why don't they build apartments without doors and just leave it open? Oh, just come go on. Anybody can come in and leave as they please. Even rooms, bedrooms have doors. Why? Because there needs to be some border, right? So, and if you don't have the keys, you're not gonna go into some random person's house if you don't have the keys, unless you try to break in. Then that's a breaking and entering, and then you know you can get caught for that. But here they just said just pull off the door, throw it somewhere, leave it open. Anybody can come in and out. So, like I said, it's common sense, right? It seems almost for somebody to make a decision like this, it has to be deliberate, you know. Anyway, and if it's not, and if it's just an oversight, then I think you might have a bigger problem on your hands, right? If this is something that they didn't see coming. Anyway, these are not just undocumented migrants seeking a better life. These are individuals with ties to terrorist organizations, and we're not catching all of them. So it's a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. When border apprehensions on the rise, or with border apprehensions on the rise and the stakes higher than ever, the Biden administration faces mounting pressure to restore security and transparency at the southern border before it's too late. And, you know, immediately I think of 1 Thessalonians 5:3, because, you know, suddenly when something goes down, a lot of people, it's going to be interesting how they're not going to expect it, though. You know, you should have been expecting it, right? With articles like this coming out, testimonies like this coming out, it should be on the back of your mind that, hey, something like this is really just, you know, it's just on its way at this point. So anyway, as the Lord said, we're going to watch and pray, you know, and see how this thing plays out. But things are definitely looking to build up, you know, even more as we get to the end of the year. So, Lord willing, this is edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.